Monday, Luigi Mangione is expected to be arraigned on state murder charges in the killing of healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. It will be the 26-year-old's first time to formally respond to those charges, which includes 2 counts of terrorism. Mangione also faces charges in federal court. That could result in the death penalty. Here with us now is trial attorney Rich Schoenstein. Rich, good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
Great. Better now that you're on. So let's talk about Mangione, because this case is a little complicated. He will be arraigned tomorrow. Walk us through what that process looks like and what we can expect.
So he's going to be brought into state court this time. He was in federal court on Friday, so he's going to come into state court where there are 11 charges pending against him. First-degree murder, a couple charges of second-degree murder, and then charges for gun possession and possession of forged documents. He's going to be asked to make a plea, presumably.
All of you are welcome back. It is anticipated that Luigi Mangione will be charged with state murder in connection with the death of Brian Thompson, the CEO of the healthcare company, on Monday. Greater than, the 26-year-old will be responding to those charges, which include 2 counts of terrorism. For the first time, additionally, Joni faces charges in federal court that could carry the death penalty. The trial attorney, Rich, is now displaying a rich image. Good morning. It's great to see you once more. Greater than, good morning, AG. Amazing. Now, once you're on, it's better. He will be assigned tomorrow, so let's talk. This case is getting a little complicated. Let's start by going over what that process looks like and what to anticipate. This time, he will be brought before the state court. On Friday, he was in federal court. He will therefore appear in a state court where 11 charges, including first-degree murder, are pending against him. After being charged with second-degree murder, the couple was also charged with possessing a gun and falsified documents.
Plead not guilty. He is in detention in the federal system because of the federal charges, and I expect to remain the case.
Let's talk about the state charges a bit more. We know he's facing an 11-count indictment in the state that includes first-degree murder and terrorism. Let's start with that first-degree charge, Rich. How does that increased charge change the dynamics of the case? Can you explain that to me and our viewers?
Absolutely. So, in New York, premeditated intentional murder is only second-degree murder. It's not first-degree murder. You have to have an aggravating factor to increase from second-degree to first-degree murder. For example, you kill a police officer, that will get you up to first-degree murder. Here, the aggravating factor is terrorism. That's the allegation, because the murder was committed as an act of terrorism, bumps it up to first degree. The difference in New York is
he will be called upon to make a plea. He will most likely plead not guilty. Due to federal charges, he is detained within the federal system. And I anticipate that the case will remain. A bit more talking about the state charges is needed. We are aware that he faces an 11-count indictment in the state, which includes terrorism and first-degree murder. That first-degree charge was where we should start. Change the dynamics of this case. How does that increase in charge? Can you tell me and our viewers what that means? Definitely. So, premeditated intentional murder in New York is only second-degree murder. Degree murder is not it. To go from second-degree murder to first-degree murder, you need an aggravating factor. For instance, you will be charged with first-degree murder if you murder a police officer. Listen to the terrorism aggravating factors, because the murder was committed as an act of terrorism. That is the allegation. The eternal silence fell over the courtroom as the jury considered their next reply.
With first-degree murder, you can sentence the defendant to life in prison without chance of parole. In second-degree murder, the sentence always carries an opportunity for parole.
Mangione sent a court date on those federal charges scheduled for January 18th. I know the death penalty was abolished here in New York back in June of this year. Why is the death penalty back on the case?
Because the death penalty is still applicable as a matter of federal law. So the state court, even with first-degree murder in New York, there's no opportunity for the death penalty. The highest penalty you can get is life imprisonment without parole. In the federal system, on the federal charge, he could get the death penalty if he was an aggravating factor. And I think here in the federal aggravating factors, you're going to talk a lot about the extent to which this murder was premeditated, planned, plotted, and then carried out. That's going to be the real aggravating factor in the federal case.
And currently, there are 40 prisoners on death row for federal crimes. Are there any past precedents that could be an example in this case, Rick?
I sentenced both of you to death. Regina, first-degree bump day and the New York difference. The defendant can be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. The sentence always presents a chance for parole in second-degree murder cases. On the federal charges, his next court date is set for January 18th. I am aware that back in June of this year, the death penalty was abolished here in New York. Returning to the table, greater than, since, according to federal law, the death penalty is still applicable, so that there is no chance for the death penalty in state court, even in cases of first-degree murder in New York. He may receive the death penalty if you could prove an aggravating factor, but the maximum penalty is life imprisonment without parole in the federal system on a federal charge. You'll talk a lot about how much this murder was planned, orchestrated, and executed, in my opinion, along with the federal aggravating factors. In the federal case, that will be the actual aggravating factor. Additionally, 40 inmates are now serving death sentences for federal offenses. Is there a former president who might serve as an example in this situation? I have no idea. As you are aware, this is a case because it involves a single murder.
I don't know, this is an odd case because it's a single murder case, which is not usually the case you think of for the death penalty in the federal system, but because of the high-profile nature, because obviously here he was trying to send a message. I mean, the idea that the death penalty might be appropriate, the idea that this might be an act of terrorism, it's really the same thing. He didn't have a personal grudge with Brian Thompson. He didn't even know the guy. This was just somebody who can try to send a message. I don't understand the message he was trying to send, by the way. I think it's counterproductive. But that's what he was trying to do, and that's why this terrorism count, and that's why the death penalty might be in play here.
I will be following this case very closely, including tomorrow. Rich Jolenstein, thank you so much. Happy holidays. By the way, love the typewriter behind you. I think that is very cool.
Send all my emails.
I love it. All right, Rich, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fast-driven, unbiased coverage.
Which is not typically the kind of case that the federal system considers for the death penalty. However, due to his high profile, he was obviously attempting to send a message here. It is actually the same thing, the idea that his death, how we would be appropriate, and the idea that this might be an act of terrorism. He had no personal grievance against Brian Thompson. The guy was someone he didn't even know. He paid this person only to try to send a message. He was trying to send a message, but I don't understand it. I believe it to be counterproductive, by the way, but he was attempting to do just that. This terrorism is important for that reason, and for that one, the death penalty may be applicable. Additionally, we will be closely monitoring this case, including tomorrow's ride-showing scene. I